Our next video is on Exodus chapter 19. This is where we've got to. Moses has gone up to God, and God is speaking in verses 4 to 6. And in this message, we're going to look at the purpose of God redeeming Israel. And this is very significant when we think of the Passover, we think of the lamb, and we think of the blood on the doorposts, and then we think of the Red Sea, how God redeemed the Israelites through the Red Sea, and they saw the death of the Egyptians, and all the rest of what comes in between that point and this chapter and chapter 19. But what was the point of God redeeming the Israelites from Egypt? Well, God has left it on record here, Exodus chapter 19, and I'll pick it up on verse 4. So I'll pick it up at the end of verse 3. Thus you shall say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, you have seen what I did to the Egyptians, how I bore you on eagle's wings, and here we get at the end of verse 4, and brought you to myself. That is the purpose of God redeeming the Israelites. And also that is the purpose of God redeeming us as believers as well. When Israel came to Mount Sinai, God did not begin by listing commandments. We get that in the next chapter. He began by revealing the purpose of redemption. The goal of redemption was God himself. Israel was not merely free from Egypt, they were brought to God. Deliverance was relational before it was instructional. Grace came before law. The New Testament always confirms this pattern as well. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 18, God has reconciled us to himself through Jesus Christ. 2 Corinthians 5:18. Redemption always moves in one direction toward God. Salvation is not simply release from bondage, but restoration to fellowship. God reminds Israel that their rescue was entirely his doing. He carried them on eagle's wings, and we had done a video on that previously. They were born by grace and not by merit. Ephesians 2 verse 8 echoes this same truth. By grace you have been saved through faith, and not of yourselves, it is the gift of God. God then presents his gracious offer in verse 5. Now therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you will be a special treasure to me above all people. Though all the earth belongs to him, God delights in choosing a people for himself. David Goodin highlights that this moment is not merely covenantal, it is relational. A special treasure to me above all people. The traditions of the rabbi sees Sinai as a moment when God came down to woo and court his redeemed people. Jeremiah later recalls this tender beginning. I remember the devotion of your youth, your love as a bride, how you followed me in the wilderness, Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 2. New Testament uses the same imagery of marriage. Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her. What condescension on the part of the transcendent Lord to seek the affection of former slaves and bind himself to them in covenant love. Remember it says in 1 John 3 verse 1, behold what manner of love the Father has bestowed or lavished on us, that we should be called children or sons of God. So the question finished is this: have we reduced salvation to escape from judgment, or do we rejoice that we've actually been brought to God himself? Thank you for listening.